afternoon. Welcome to Mrs. Lovely's Read Aloud. Boys and girls, today I want to share with you a book called The Juice Box Bully, Empowering Kids to Stand Up for Others. This is one of my favorite books because it talks about bullying. Boys and girls, at Fred Douglass, bullying is not allowed. Bullying is when you repeatedly bother someone over and over and over and over. We have lots of friendship problems. We have lots of little spats with this person and that person. But bullying is not acceptable. If you are on purpose, repeatedly being unkind to a friend or a classmate, or an adult to an adult, that's called bullying. And I won't allow it. And I'm hoping that as we listen to Miss Lovely's book, The Juice Box Bully, that you'll stop and think. So sit back, relax, and let's see what it's all about. As Pete stood in front of his new class, Mr. Peltzer announced, "Let's welcome Pete to our team. Pete, you'll be sitting by Ralph." Settling into his seat, Pete pulled his hat down over his head so that only his eyes could be seen. Turning around, Ralph warned him, "They don't allow hats in class here." "You're not my mother," snarled Pete. After giving an assignment, Mr. Peltzer walked around the class and quietly asked Pete to remove his hat. Once he walked away, Pete poked Ralph. "Thanks a lot," and growled. Later that day at recess, Pete didn't ask to join the soccer game. Instead, he watched. Look closely at this picture of Pete out on the playground, just like Fred Douglass's playground. Turn and talk to your partner about how you think Pete is feeling. Thank you for turning and talking to your partner. I don't think Pete's looking like he's liking his new school. "Hi, Pete," Ralph said. "Do you want to get into the game?" "Not with those nerds," replied Pete. "I don't like those kids." "What do you want to do?" asked Ralph. Pete smiled spitefully. "Let's steal the ball. We're bigger than them. We can have our own game." "I don't think so," said Ralph. "That's not how we do things around here." "Then I'll do it myself," taunted Pete. Pete ran over to the field and yelled, "Pass it to me!" When David passed the soccer ball, Pete grabbed it and ran off the field. "What's going on?" shouted David. Pete didn't answer. He ran faster and faster, then turned and waved the ball in the air. At first, the kids just stood there. Then they huddled together before walking over to Pete. Ruby and Lucy led the way. "I know you're new around here, but what are you doing?" asked Ruby. "I'm playing with the soccer ball," Pete snapped. "Think you're going to take it away from me?" Ruby didn't argue, nor did she threaten Pete. Instead, she softly but firmly explained, "Pete, it's your first day here, so there's no way you could know this. In Mr. Peltzer's class, we made a promise. We promised to take care of ourselves, each other, and our classroom, and to solve problems peacefully. We promised that in this class, no one would stand by and accept bad behavior. When someone asks hurtfully, we all speak up. We want you to be a member of the class and to make that same promise." "Dumb rules, dumb promises," throwing the ball to the ground, and Pete walked away. Right now, boys and girls, in our book, Ruby, one of the main characters, is being an upstander. She realizes that what Pete's doing is not right. So instead of just letting it happen, she's being an upstander, and she's looking out for Pete, trying to show him the rules and tell him about the promise. The next day, Pete ate alone. When he finished lunch, the kids raced out of the lunchroom while Pete trailed behind. Ruby ran up to Pete and asked, "Do you want to play soccer today?" "I don't play with nerds." "Okie dokie," Ruby replied. "Hey, Ruby," Pete called after her. Ruby stopped and turned. "Nice shirt," Pete complimented. Then he squirted his juice box right at her. Boys and girls, when we're in the cafeteria, we shouldn't be mean and unkind to students. Deliberately throwing food, squirting juice on a shirt, taking someone's food, messing with someone, being unkind with someone, talking about someone, saying they can't sit by you, that's all being mean. And if you do it over and over and over, that's being a bully. And the fact that Pete is not adjusting well really, really becomes a problem. Let's see what happens next in our book. "You are so mean," Ruby shrieked at him. "I'll tell everyone how mean you are. You'll never have any friends here." By now, Ralph, David, and some others had come up to them. "Ruby, I won't let you do that," Ralph said clearly. "Remember our promise." "I don't want to remember the promise. Look what he did to me. We'll ignore him forever until he leaves this school and goes back to his old school," Ruby demanded. Ralph walked between Ruby and Pete. "We're not going to do this, Ruby. I know you're angry. You can tell Mr. Peltzer if you want, but we're not going to let you treat Pete like this, and we won't put up with his bad behavior either." Ruby stomped away, leaving Pete and Ralph behind. "No one's ever done that before," Pete said. "Why did you stand up for me? I've been in your shoes, and I learned being a bully doesn't work." So, boys and girls, right now, Ruby's really upset. Pete deliberately was mean to her. He got juice all over her pretty blouse. She's upset. And sometimes when we're upset, we say and do things that we don't mean. But luckily, her friends Pete and Ralph are helping her, and they're looking out for her. "And I'm not a bystander," Ralph said. "I don't stand by and let mean things happen. Besides, Ruby's my friend, and you shouldn't have ruined her shirt." "Won't the other kids be mad at you for sticking up to me?" Pete asked. "No way. They all made the same promise. We talked about it for a long time with Mr. Peltzer, and every kid here tries to keep that promise." "At my old school, I got picked on all the time," Pete said. "Everybody just let it happen. So I started to tease kids before they would be mean to me." Ralph replied, "We decided that when somebody tries to be a bully, no one will stand by and let it happen. We speak up or we ask for help from an adult, but we won't be bystanders to bad behavior." Boys and girls, a lot of you are new to Fred. Every single third grader this year is new to Fred. A lot of new students. If you're new and you're having a hard time adjusting and making friends, the answer isn't to tease and be mean. The answer is to seek help. Ask for help. We'll help you. But when you're teasing and you're mean, then when you do that over and over and over again, that's being a bully. And we won't allow it, just like Mr. Peltzer didn't allow it. The bell rang. It was time to go back to class. "They hate me. They'll never let me play with them," Pete said. Before Ralph could answer, David, Lucy, and Ruby came toward them. "I'm sorry about what I said," Ruby apologized. I can't believe I forgot the reason why we made the promise. If we can remember to stand up for each other, school's a lot more fun. And boy, school is a lot more fun, boys and girls. At this school and at Frederick Douglass, when we're being kind to one another and being upstanders. Wow, the kids here are way different than at my other school, Pete said. Maybe I'll give this promise thing a try. Great. Let's go talk to Mr. Peltzer, said Ruby. Hey, Ruby. Sorry about your shirt, Pete added. Ruby smiled. No worries. I kind of like the new look. Everyone laughed as Pete and Ruby led the way into the classroom. So, boys and girls, turn to your partner, and I want you to talk about how Ruby handled Pete. Do you think Ruby handled him the correct way? And then I want you to talk about how did Ralph help solve the problem? Do you want to be an upstander at Fred or a bystander? Turn and talk to the student next to you, to your partner, or to your table. Welcome back, boys and girls. Being an upstander is such an important thing to do. We want all Fred students to be upstanders. If we see a student being a bully, you need to stand up for that child. You need to tell an adult. Boys and girls, there's a big difference between tattling and reporting. If you're tattling, you're trying to get someone in trouble. If you're reporting, then you are doing the right thing. You've seen something or heard something that you know is wrong. Boys and girls, I'd like you all to stand, teachers, staff. I'd like everyone to stand because as a school, we are going to say the same promise that they said in Ruby and Pete's class. So repeat after me. The promise. I will speak up instead of acting as a bystander. I choose to participate in activities that don't involve teasing. I forgive others if they make poor choices. I model good behavior. I accept others for their differences. I include others in group situations. I will talk to an adult when there's a problem I can't manage on my own. I am powerful in making a difference in my school. By making the promise to stand up against bad behavior, boys and girls, we can put an end to bullying. Teachers, at this time, you might want to have the students talk as a class about why you think our book is called The Juicebox Bully. What are some of the things that we can do as Fred Blue Jays to be upstanders and not bystanders? We want to focus on kindness and not bullying. Boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our book, The Juicebox Bully, and I hope that Frederick Douglass students that carry the 3 R's in their pocket will not be bystanders, but will be upstanders. I'm counting on you, boys and girls, and have a great day.